If you listen to people and if you allow people to project their fears onto you, you won't live. She is unapologetic about her past because everything that she's gone through has made her who she is. And what human can identify with that?
Hey y'all, welcome to Unsolicited Therapy Podcast. I'm your host Tatiana, and in today's episode, we're going to find Grace because where is she when we need her? Yeah. Let's talk about it. Okay, y'all. So in the last episode, I talked about the importance of taking ownership of our actions and self-inflicting problems. But while that is so important, it is also important to learn to give ourselves grace in the process. I feel like when we set high expectations for ourselves and our abilities, and we're constantly pushing ourselves to succeed in various aspects of life, even though that's admirable, I think we miss the part where that comes at a cost. And I feel like it makes it harder for us to give ourselves self-compassion when we're always looking for ways to grow. Of course, have a growth mindset, but I think when we're so stuck on focusing on how to grow, we forget how human we are at the same time and that everything takes a process. Okay, so let's talk about this thing called grace. Grace is about showing yourself kindness, understanding, and forgiveness, just like you would towards a close friend or a loved one. It involves recognizing and accepting your own imperfections, embracing self-love, and most importantly, acknowledging that it's okay to make mistakes, y'all. And even if it's the same mistake over and over again, like for me, it takes me about 7 to 10 times for me to go through something before it clicks. But as long as I learn from my mistakes after the 10th time, I'm okay with it. The goal is to grow. It's a process to everything. So if you don't get it on the first try or the 5th try or even the 13th try, how about we just celebrate the moment where we finally get it? Many people, including myself, find it incredibly challenging to give themselves grace. Like I recently learned how to give myself grace, and boy, it was a process. Like we struggle with self-criticism, perfectionism, or even fear of failure. But it's important to remember that we are all human beings and we are bound to face difficulties and experience setbacks along the way. Because how else are you going to learn? But it's all about reframing our mindset and treating ourselves with the same compassion we extend to others. So at the end of the day, just think about being a friend to yourself. How you treat your friends, be that same person for yourself. There will always be something that we can unlearn and grow in. And with knowing that, I had to ask myself, am I going to beat myself up for the rest of my life every time I don't get something right? Or am I going to learn to accept reality and just pivot by taking accountability, like we talked about, and then taking action on it? And then most importantly, God gives me grace. So why not give it to myself? If God has forgiven me and he is so understanding, he shows kindness to me, why can't I extend that to myself? So I just took the liberty of making a declaration to myself, like if I'm already forgiven for the things that I do, then I need to learn to do the same thing because God is not holding it over my head. So why am I bringing myself down, making myself depressed by holding something over my head where I don't have to? You know what I'm saying? And again, how else are you going to learn if you don't make mistakes? So let's talk about why we may struggle with giving ourselves grace. Now, one reason could be the expectations and pressures that are placed on us by society. Now, we know we live in a world that often values achievements over personal well-being, and then we're bombarded with messages of success, wealth, and then being perfect, which leads us to set unrealistic standards for ourselves. Now, I know 20-somethings, I know you can relate to this. We feel like in our 20s, we should have our own business, own our own home, have a family, and then be retired by the time we hit our 30s. Who told us that? Like, where did we even get that idea from? Let me know. So then we find ourselves constantly comparing ourselves to others that we see on social media. And then we have this fear of falling short that makes it even more challenging to show ourselves grace. Another reason could be negative self-talk. You know, the voice that's in your head telling you you're not good enough, you should know better, you're never going to change, all that. This negative self-talk can be detrimental to your mental and emotional well-being, making it even harder to give yourself grace during tough times. See, I was in a situation not that long ago, and going back to the last episode when we talked about self-inflicting problems, I put myself in a certain situation. And it was a mess. It was a mess, y'all. It was a mess. And it was so hard to get out of. And I went through this dark place feeling like there was no hope. Like, I'm stuck in this situation. There's nothing better from here. This is what I deserve. All this craziness. And then as time went on and I really got tired of where my life was and how I was feeling, I finally collected my senses and came back to reality and had to really make a decision to take hold of my life again. So all that negative self-talk, learn to dead it when it's happening. You got to stop it instantly because nobody has time for that. So stop thinking that you're never going to change because we are always changing at different rates. So don't look at the next person or the other person and how fast or whatever, or where they are in life, and then compare it to yourself. Worry about yourself. I'm pretty sure we heard that all throughout our childhood. Worry about yourself. Worry about how you can change. Worry about what you can do. Okay? But don't worry, y'all. I got y'all. I've gone through this myself, as I just said, and I'm still not 100% there. But what I can say is that I've learned to love myself in spite of the self-sabotaging choices I sometimes make. Yes, I still make some bad choices, or I would not say bad choices, but unhealthy, unproductive, unhelpful choices. But it's okay. There are several strategies that I've learned, and I'm going to share them with you guys, okay? So the first step is to become aware of our self-critical thoughts, like we talked about, and challenge them. Now, this is called thought stopping. Now, I learned this in therapy, and when I say this really helped me, y'all, it really did. So what thought stopping is, when you have a negative thought that comes to mind, instantly reverse it. So let's see, saying, oh, okay, I'm not good enough. I would instantly stop it like, no, that's a lie. And for those who know God, we understand that we got somebody underground that's always trying to comfort our character and try to distort our thinking. So I'm like, devil, you are a liar. I am good enough because God says I'm good enough. And that's on period. So that's the type of attitude that you have to have when it comes to thought stopping. Any negative thought, first of all, check it to see if it's true. Because sometimes it's not even true. You know what I'm saying? Like, we will fill ourselves with lies and really believe it wholeheartedly. And we don't even give ourselves a chance to believe anything else. It's like, okay, negative thought, yep, must be true. No, don't hold on to that if it's not yours. Let it go. So yes, we are thought stopping. So the second strategy is practice self-compassion. One thing we cannot do is change the fact that we are human. We are all flawed in our own unique way. Some may say this is setting the bar low, but I say celebrate the small victories and acknowledge your efforts, even if the outcome is not what you initially desired. Listen, my motto is just try. Every day when I wake up, I tell myself, you're going to try. That's all that you can do. And then you'll cultivate a mindset of you win some and you lose some, but you live to fight another day. Now, those are powerful words from Pops. And if you know, you know. Okay, culture. The next one is self-care, and this plays a crucial role in giving ourselves grace. It ensures that we prioritize our physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and it's essential. Self-care can include setting boundaries with yourself and others. Now, that's a whole nother lesson, but we'll talk about that in another episode because your girl, she still struggles with not setting boundaries. I'm good with that, but it's the adhering to boundaries. That's the challenging part, but we won't get into it. The last one is seeking support from others. Now, this can be incredibly beneficial. Sometimes we just need to hear a different perspective or just receive a kind word from someone. And it makes a difference when they actually understand what we're going through. And then being around supportive and understanding people can make it easier to give ourselves grace. And then we won't feel so stuck in self-doubt. Now, therapy really helps me in this area because, again, I'm not 100% there with grace, but I will say I've come a long way. My toxic behavior consists of shutting people out and isolating myself. And then I leave myself to climb out of this dark place alone when I really don't have to. Sometimes I feel like I just want to process things alone, but I do understand how dangerous that can be, and I'm actually going to talk more about that in another episode. All right, y'all, so I'm about to wrap up this podcast, but before I go, I just want to leave you guys with this encouraging word. You are not alone. I know, very typical, but no, seriously, you're not alone. We all struggle with giving ourselves grace. Like, people who actually care about being better, yes, it's hard to give ourselves grace, but the good news is it's not an insurmountable challenge. All we have to do is be aware of our self-critical thoughts, practice self-compassion, and prioritize self-care. And then, of course, be around people that can speak life into you. And then we will gradually learn to give ourselves love and understanding. And remember, you are worthy of grace just as you are. That's all for this episode of Where is Grace When You Need Her? Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. Now, until next time, remember to be kind to yourself and learn to just try. Say it with me, just try. Yes, there you go. Good job, guys. All right, see y'all. Talk to y'all later. Bye. Don't you worry about tomorrow.